The fall of Jason Arday, the celebrated sociology professor, University of Cambridge. It's another cautionary tale about higher education in the West, like the essay we poured over in the Atlantic yesterday by that Bates College comparative lit professor. Really good. The Arday story in some.
I'm Professor of Sociology of Education at the University of Cambridge.
3 years ago, Jason Arday became the youngest ever black professor appointed at Cambridge University, an 800-year-old institution.
Professor Jason Arday joins us now.
He was interviewed about the achievement on CBS News.
If I'm being absolutely candid and honest, not many teachers at school had any belief in me.
Now Arday has fallen from grace, accused of plagiarising some of his academic writing and lying about claims he ran 600 miles in 6 days to raise money for charity. The scandal's front-page news here in the UK, and the former professor of sociology of education has now resigned, saying in a statement that it should not be mistaken for an acceptance of the narratives that have surrounded him. Cambridge University says it's launched an investigation.
Yeah.
There are now questions about Arday's autobiography, scheduled to be published this month. Holly Williams, CBS News, London.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing suspicious in his background. Non-verbally autistic until age 12, couldn't read or write until 18, dyslexic, epileptic because he was beaten by 4 boys who he forgave. 2 of the boys took his class and hugged him. He had a brain tumor, a mini stroke, and memory loss. He ran 30 marathons in 35 days, including one with a broken leg. I'm sorry. Yeah, that was number 20. His 20th marathon, he fell and broke his fibula, but he ran 10 more marathons in that time period anyway. And that was all received without skepticism from the academic elites at the University of Cambridge. Of course it was. Because he was one of the most talented minds of his generation, as evidenced by these deep thoughts on topics like meritocracy.
Meritocracy is it's great in theory, but in actual practice, it falls time and time and time again because meritocracy in itself is not equal. There is no equity in meritocracy. Only a small proportion or certain group of people from society benefit from meritocracy.
And we know equality and equity are not synonyms, but antonyms. I don't know if he was conflating the two purposefully or not. I'm guessing not, based on the quality of his communications, work product. Anyway, a lot of academics have been weighing in on this, but I like this piece in Unheard by a former student of Jason Arday's at Roehampton. She's writing under the pseudonym Fiona Brown, and she offers Jason Arday in the context of the parable of the post turtle, where a farmer finds a turtle stuck on a fence post. That post turtle didn't get up there by himself, the farmer says. He doesn't belong there, and you wonder who put him there. He has no idea what to do while he's up there, and having been elevated beyond his ability to function, he's never going to get anything done while he's there. He adds, you just want to help the poor bugger get down, and you can't help but wonder what kind of idiot put him up there in the first place. It's a question Arday's many backers may now wish to ask. Zing. Just quickly, in terms of what she had to say about her experience, the song lyrics were the first red flag. The way he'd ramble about Tinny Tempa or Eminem, or how black artists like Beyonce were sexualized by white men without offering any evidence to substantiate his claims. Or else there were the film clips from Fish Tank and Kidulthood, which he'd tell us to discuss without offering any guidance on how to do so. And this was, if he was even in the classroom at all, he often arrived late and left early, once teaching for a single hour when 4 were scheduled. When I saw Jason Arday's name in the news, my first thought was, finally. As a student on the education module, Arday taught at the University of Roehampton back in autumn of 2018, a module replete with music but shockingly light on education. I can't help but having thoughts on the story that has unfolded on the last couple of years, the real surprise being that it didn't come out sooner. And she goes on to detail just how flimsy his class and instruction were. For more on the topic, Dominic Green joins us, columnist for the Washington Examiner, contributor to the Wall Street Journal, and fellow of the Rural Historical Society. Dominic Green, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hello, Dan.
Jason Arday's Fall from Grace says anybody at Cambridge or in higher education there in the UK offered mea culpas, regaled people with lessons learned?
I mean, Cambridge gave us, the most famous Soviet spies in the 20th century, and they haven't apologized for that yet. They haven't apologized for any of this. What they have done is locked down their Department of Education's website so that people can't find out who else they've hired and start looking into their research and their PhDs. Because the fact is, as we know, universities are riddled with this kind of nonsense. Jason Arday is the British equivalent, say, of Claudine Gay of Harvard, who, apart from being a half-wit, was found to be an imposter as well. Education is one of those fields which is ruining everybody's lives by training up large numbers of idiots in doctrines which have no bearing upon reality and then spoiling our children's lives with that. The more you look into it, the worse it gets. So no wonder they're in defensive mode. And even a couple of their professors are saying, no, this is all, motivated by racism or, it's bigotry and so on, or it's the right in attack mode. Pouncing, as we say. It's none of these things. It's quite obvious that Jason Arday is a fantasist and an imposter. He has added greatly to the gaiety of the nation. I will give him that. And I have a sort of sneaking admiration in a way, because the lies that he has told are so fantastical that I think it must have been very exciting for him, and it must have been very rewarding for all the people who chose to believe these things. I find it so astounding that some of the cleverest people could be so stupid. And it does sort of fit the pattern. The people we have across our institutions are the kind who, as the old joke would go, cannot change a light bulb.
Well, now is his autobiography still moving forward? I thought he got like a 7-figure advance. Was it from Simon Schuster? And
yes.
and it hasn't been canceled, right?
I'm delighted to report that they're going to issue this book, which is obviously a tissue of lies. And I have no doubt that there will be further revelations about its essentially fictional content. In fact, the smart thing they should do is issue it in their fiction line rather than as autobiography. It's called Great and Unfortunate Things, which is a pretty good summary of everything that's happened to him. And as everything is now examined by online detectives, people have pointed out that he lifted the title from a TV series. The man is a total charlatan. I would have asked him to join us, but he's climbing Mount Everest on his hands and knees at the moment. He said he couldn't be here.
Yeah. I mean, that guy never stops. He's just a dynamo. I'm not surprised to hear that. I'm thinking maybe like he and Jussie Smollett could do like a remake of Good Will Hunting or something, so where they could apply their respective, bring their respective cachet to the table, something like that.
Yes, and there is a look. I mean, people want to be fooled, and in the case of everybody who took up Jussie Smollett's claims, of this being MAGA country, and the people who took up Jason Arday, if they want to be fooled, then there'll always be people who supplied, the demand. There are incentives being created for people to masquerade as things that they are not and to play a role in a largely fictional political drama. And so long as we give, jobs and money to people, they quite reasonably will think, well, why not? It's extremely destructive to our trust in institutions. The educational system, meanwhile, heads south at a never faster rate. But as I said, we at least can laugh. But this kind of thing, every time it happens, is an alarm bell at the core of our society, because we cannot have a functioning society if we don't have basic education systems. And as we know, literacy is declining, not growing. Literacy improved for more than 100 years, and now we're becoming largely post-literate. That's not good. And people like Jason Arday are accelerating that process. So there's a very serious question here.
Well, it is, and I mean, this is basically another instance of a race hoax, and it's the story you were sort of intimating. It's the story of where racism doesn't exist. We're going to find it because we need to prop up the story that we're we're railing against it. That's our raison d'etre to combat, the oppressive white patriarchies of the West.
I'm afraid that it is that simple, and that is the doctrine which is being promoted. I mean, the minute people started looking into the Department of Education at Cambridge, it basically started looking like the Department of Education in Cambridge, Mass. At the Harvard University. It turned out that one of the senior staffers is previously a member of a banned Islamist terrorist group who was of the opinion that Western-style education was antithetical to Islam and that Muslims should avoid it. And Cambridge gave her a job as one of the leading educational theorists in Britain. So if you carry on like that, and as I say, you basically trash your institutions and it starts to pull apart the society.
Well, we were talking about this too. I read that story about this woman named Farah Ahmed. That's her name.
Yes, I'll be enrolling her courses in September if I can.
Yeah. I mean, this prompted Gerard Baker over at the Wall Street Journal call for a shutdown of Cambridge University until we can figure out what the hell is going on. But the problem is...
I've long felt this way, Dan. As an Oxford man, I've been saying this all my life.
Yeah. But well, one, you're not going to get the university to shut itself down. But number two, we do know what's going on. I mean, that it's not like they're subtle about it.
No, they're not. And the thing is, they are wholly dependent upon government funding in ways that even compared to the Ivy League universities, the British universities really are dependent upon the government funding. They have turned into, over time, an arm, effectively, of the state, good and bad. And in this case, this is, as I said, this is on the state as well, because the state promotes the same silly political correctness and the same nonsensical doctrines and pushes them into the schools that taxpayers are funding. So I'm afraid to say it's easy for us to laugh at the academics because frequently they are delusional and malicious. But I'm afraid the rot reaches further in. This is Cambridge is, until last week anyway, was a respectable partner of the British state, and it's the rot in the state that has also encouraged this, I'm afraid to say.
Dominic Green, columnist for the Washington Examiner, contributor to the Wall Street Journal, and fellow of the Royal Historical Society. Dominic, thank you as always.
Thank you.
And Dominic joined us on the alfwealthgroup.com answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Welcome back to Ask Hasslis. I'm Weston. What's your question?
Is this one of those viral pranks?
Beg your pardon?
I think you promote